and everything is fine till far and good and it's all smooth. Today's lesson is very important, and I believe it's very complicated a little bit. So you're just gonna have to follow my words step by step. Today's lesson is about the nervous system. And in today's lesson, you're gonna have to know the central and the peripheral nervous system and to compare between them. Those are the objectives. And to know the brain parts and how it works. To know the relation between the autonomic and somatic nervous system. The vocabs you will find it in this lesson is various, and it contains the CNS, the central nervous system, the PNS, the peripheral nervous system, brain, spinal cord, autonomic, somatic, neuron, nerve. Those are the words that we will have a look on it on this lesson. Those are some diagrams explaining the nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, as well as the brain and the neuron structure. We will start our lesson by comparing between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system could be abbreviated into CNS, while the peripheral nervous system could be PNS. Central consists mainly of brain and spinal cord, and it processes and responds to all messages coming from the peripheral nervous system. Some people saying peripheral, some people saying peripheral nervous system. Both of them is okay. Peripheral nervous system is about nerves, and nerves are a specialized structure that carry the information between your body and the central nervous system. I mean between all your body organs and scan to the central nervous system. And there is two types of the nerves. There's the cranial nerves or the cranial nerves. There are 12 pair from brain, and the spinal nerves, 31 pair from your vertebral column. 12 pair means 24 cranial nerves coming out from your brain, carrying out the messages and orders, and spinal nerves, 31 pairs extending from your vertebral column, 31 from each side. So the total is 62 spinal nerve. We will start with the peripheral nervous system, hopefully. The peripheral nervous system coordinates between your body and the central nervous system, as we explained. And it consists of specialized nerve cells known as neurons. So neurons are the building block of the nervous system, and it receives and conducts the electrical signal that we know it as impulse from the stimulus site to your brain in the central nervous system. So once you get exposed to any stimuli in any part of your body, it sends up an electrical impulse through the neurons till it reaches to the brain and the central nervous system. And there are three parts or types of the nerves or the neurons based on their function. There are sensory neurons, and it's very clear from the word sensory means it's only collect the sense informations from your senses and send it to the central nervous system. The second type is the motor neurons that carry the responses from the central nervous system to the senses back again, and the interneurons that connect both type of neurons. Now we'll talk about the motor nerves, because the sensory only have one function, that it carries the stimuli or the senses from your skin and organs and send it to the central nervous system. After it goes to the central nervous system, the central nervous system should respond to these stimuli, and it responds using the motor nerves. So the motor nerves, in order to carry the responses from the brain to the sense organ, classified into two types: the somatic nerve and the autonomic nerve. The somatic, most of the neurons that are a part of the somatic nervous system are under your conscious control. Means it will never happen without your order. You know what is going to happen. This is the somatic neurons. They stimulate the skeletal muscles and the voluntary actions such as riding, talking, smiling, jumping, and etc. If you notice that all those actions include your consciousness, without your consciousness, it won't be able to work. So the somatic nerves mostly controls the voluntary movement, while the autonomic, which is a little bit bigger and complicated a little bit, most of the neurons that are part of the autonomic nervous system are working without your conscious control. It doesn't need your brain, doesn't need your conscious. Main job is to keep all the body function in balance, like your heart, your spleen, your liver, your kidneys, as we discussed, the urinary system, your lungs, as the respiratory system. It keeps all those organs functioning well and functioning in balance. Based on the situation, because there are different situations that the body might face, the autonomic nervous system can speed up or slow down these functions. In another meaning, think about the fear. When you feel fear, what happened to your body? You will find that your body heart rate is increasing, your hairs on the skin are standing, everything in your body is changing. The reason of this is going back to the autonomic nerves. It controls the involuntary movements. So I just need to talk about that based on the situation, how the autonomic nervous system can speed or slow down these functions. See, speed or slow down, this is the antagonistic nature of the autonomic nerves. Some of them speed up these actions and another are slowing down those actions. And based on this, it's classified into two types: the sympathetic division and the parasympathetic division. The sympathetic division, as you can notice, it increases the blood rate, and at the same time it increases the blood flow, and also increases the oxygen supply by dilating bronchioles. Bronchioles, by the way, are the gaps or the sacs found inside your lung to store the oxygen, or to carry the oxygen stored inside the alveoli. So it increases the oxygen supply by dilating bronchioles, and it inhibits the flow of the saliva. Like if you are eating, it's not working, the sympathetic division is not working just during the digestion process. It's only working if the digestion is not working, so if there is no need for digestion. So it inhibits the flow of saliva, as well as inhibiting the peristalsis and the secretion. Keeping in mind that peristalsis is a muscle movement, a random muscle movement on the smooth muscles that facilitate the engulf or swallowing food and reaching or transmitting it to the stomach. And at the same time, it increases the glucose level by breaking down the glycogen. Glycogen is animal starch stored inside the liver. So inside the liver there are a lot of glucose. In case of there is no glucose enough in your blood, it breaks down the glycogen into glucose and release it into the bloodstream. So sympathetic actually speeds up the function of these organs, like the blood rate, blood flow, the oxygen rate, the digestion rate, and the glucose rate. While the parasympathetic division works totally the opposite, or the other hand. If the sympathetic is increasing blood rate, so the parasympathetic is decreasing blood rate, and it decreases the blood flow. Need of for decreasing in here, it's not mean decreasing less than the normal, but it returning back the one that it's increased into the normal rate. So it's decreasing the blood rate, decreasing also the blood flow, and returning the oxygen supply to normal by constricting the bronchioles. So actually dilating bronchioles, constricting bronchioles, increasing blood flow, decreasing blood flow. It's totally the opposite. Even the sympathetic division, it increases or dilates your pupils found inside your eye in order to receive a big amount of light. But if there is no need for the pupil dilating, it returns back to the normal size, and this is the job function of the parasympathetic division. Parasympathetic division, instead of inhibiting peristalsis and secretion, it stimulates the peristalsis and the secretion. So it stimulates the digestion process, and it returns the glucose level back to normal by making glycogen out of glucose and store it inside the liver, keeping in mind that this is the autonomic nervous system only. Now we will talk about before talking about a new topic or a new headline, we'll have a look at this picture, and it clearly indicates the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic. See, dilating pupils, constricting pupils, inhibiting flow of saliva, stimulating the saliva flow, accelerates heartbeat, slows heartbeat, dilates bronchi, constricts bronchi. I'm just reading the comparison between the sympathetic and parasympathetic, and it's very important, by the way. Now, we said that the nervous system is mostly consists of neurons. What is the structure of neurons? Why it differs in its structure? The neurons, as you can see on the slide, it consists of head. This is the head, and this is the tail or axon. So it consists of head and axon. The neuron is the building unit of the nervous system, and it's a very specialized cell where its electrical impulses transmits through. So if you get exposed to any external stimuli or internal stimuli, those stimuli is being carried within the neuron axon, transmitting them to the next neuron cell. Neuron consists of the cell body or the cell head, as they can say, and it contains the nucleus and the other nuclear components and the dendrites. See, the dendrites are short, as you can see, short branched extensions used to receive the information from other neuron cell. So the receiving information is taking place via the dendrites. Then, after it receives the information, it fires an impulse, an electrical impulse that seeps down through the axon, reaching to the axon terminal. So it's a matter of creating an impulse or firing impulse inside the cell body or the cell head. Then this impulse is being seeps down to the axon, reaching to the terminal axon or the axon terminals, till it's being transmitted to another cell. The cell axon, if you can see, it's elongated extension, it's not short extensions, where the impulse moves through. And by the way, not all of them are covered with the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath, by the way, is a matter consists of two organic compounds, protein and glucose, and it's a glycoprotein component separated by nodes known as Ranvier nodes or nodes of Ranvier, and this is due to the scientists that discover it. Then at the end of the axon, there's the axon terminals that allows the information to pass to other cells. So the neuron, which is the building unit of the nervous system, consists mostly of a cell head containing dendrites, an axon containing the axon terminals, a place to receive the impulse and a place to send the impulse to other cells. How about the nerve structure? We said that we talked about the autonomic nerve and somatic nerve. But what is the nerve? The nerve is a collection of axons along with some of the adipose tissue or fat tissue and capillaries like the artery and vein. The nerve, which considered the connection between the central nervous system and all your body parts. As we said, it's a collection of neuron axons arranged in a bundles, blood vessels, and a connective tissue known as adipose tissue. This is the contents of the nerve. The axon is a part of the nerve that transmits the information from spinal cord to your muscle fiber in your skin. As we discussed the integumentary system, we said that each inch or milli of your skin containing a muscle fiber. Those muscle fiber are receiving information from the spinal cord using the nerve. How many nerves do we have on the peripheral nervous system? We said we have 31 pairs, i.e. 62 nerves. And we got 12 cranial nerves from your brain. This was the peripheral nervous system. Now we will talk about the main nervous system or the central nervous system. The central nervous system is not coordinating or transmitting impulses as the peripheral nervous system did, but it actually controls the units, the other units, and it receives the information from the sensory neurons in all your body. Then it responds back by sending another messages to all your body parts by using another type of neurons, which are the motor neurons or motor nerves. The central nervous system is mostly consists of two parts, as you can see: the brain and the spinal cord. The spinal cord is extending from the top of the brain, or the back of the brain, till the end of your abdominal cavity. We'll start with the most important part of the nervous system, which is the brain. The brain, considered as the largest organ in the nervous system, and it's considered actually as also as the main control center of your nervous system. So it's the biggest organ, and it's the only organ that gives order, by the way, or interrupts information or translate them into orders. The brain controls both types of actions, the voluntary actions and the involuntary actions. And it's protected or enclosed inside a puny box known as skull. By the way, the brain, if you can see, it's full of folds. Those are the folds. Those are folds. If you just try to straighten all of them, it could reach to 1 meter square as a distance or as a space taken by the brain. And this is actually in order to increase the amount of electrical signals received and the amount of neurons found inside the brain. There are about something like 5.6 billion neurons in your body. The brain looks like the sphere, so we call it hemispheres. It's divided into 2 hemispheres. If you have a look to the brain from the outside, you will find it separated by a fissure. 2 halves separated by a fissure. So those 2 halves are known as hemispheres. The right hemisphere is for controlling the left side of your body. The left hemisphere is for controlling the right side of your body. And it's, by the way, it's antagonistic. Consists of 4 main parts. The cerebrum, which is the biggest part. This is the cerebrum, by the way. This is the cerebrum till here. This is all the cerebrum. So the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the medulla oblongata, or some people are pronouncing it as medulla oblongata. Both of them are okay. And on the middle, just above the medulla oblongata, there is the diencephalon. Diencephalon is very important because it contains the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Those are the main controlling units on the endocrine system that secretes hormones. So the brain consists of cerebrum, biggest part, cerebellum, second biggest part, medulla oblongata, the last part that connects to the spinal cord, and before this we've got the diencephalon. Let's have a look to the brain part. We start with the cerebrum. As we said that the cerebrum is the biggest part of the brain, or the largest part of brain. It has a dome shape. It controls voluntary movements and allows you sense, touch, light, odors, taste, pain, heat and cold. All these senses are being controlled by the cerebrum, keeping in mind that those are the voluntary movements. It's subdivided into two halves, as we discussed: the hemispheres, left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere of your cerebrum controls activities such as the reading, writing, and problem solving, and it controls body right half, the right half of your body. Now, left hemisphere controls the right, while the right hemisphere controls another activities such as processing music, spatial and critical thinking, and it controls the body left half. This was the cerebrum, the biggest part. The second biggest part is the cerebellum. Cerebellum. So cerebellum is the second largest part in your brain. It just lies beneath the back of your cerebrum, and it processes the information from your skeletal muscle, number one, in the skin, number two, from your joints, and by gathering information from those two places, it helps the brain in tracking your body position. If you are standing, and if you are standing in one leg or two legs, and etc. And it controls the balance while walking or running. Have you ever felt that you are going to fall down while walking or running, and you controlled yourself? It wasn't your action, it was the cerebellum action. Going to the last part of your brain is the medulla oblongata, or some people are saying it as the medulla oblongata. It's part of the brain that is in a tight connection, or in a direct connection to the spinal cord. So it's the only part that is directly connected to the spinal cord, which is the next part of your nervous system, central nervous system. The medulla oblongata controls all the involuntary actions such as the blood pressure, body temperature, heat and breathing rates. This is a diagram showing the cerebrum, which is the biggest part, in purple, then in red the cerebellum, then medulla oblongata on green color. Going to the second part of your nervous system, or the central nervous system, which is the spinal cord. By the way, the spinal cord is extended within your backbone, and it's found in your vertebral column. It's made up of bundles of axons that extends through the vertebral column. It's protected by vertebra. You've got something like 31 vertebra in your backbone. Each vertebra is controlling or protecting the spinal cord, and in the same time it has two spinal nerves getting out of it. So each vertebra has two spinal nerves. It's considered the communicating link between the PNS and the brain. PNS is the peripheral nervous system, and the brain and the central nervous system. That's why if any injury happened to the spinal cord, it blocks the signal from and to your brain. It's causing something like a paralysis. You cannot feel the stimuli, or you cannot receive the order from the brain or send it to the brain. Mostly controls the reflex action or the arc actions. Without getting back to the brain, by the way, the only thing that's being controlled by the spinal cord is the reflex action. And here is the diagram showing your vertebral column, and a diagram, another one showing the vertebra itself. As you can see, consists of white matter and gray matter. The gray matter mostly consists of neurons that are covered with a myelin sheath, while the others are mostly without myelin sheath. This is your vertebral column, and the spinal cord is extending inside it. Really hope that this fulfills your need about this lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.